This is StormReel, a podcast about the intersection of people and weather, hosted by storm chasers Jeremy Heyman and me, Gabe Cox.
Welcome to StormReel, the podcast about the intersection of people and weather. I am your host, Jeremy Heyman, joined by my fellow host, Gabe Cox. Hey, Gabe, how you doing, man?
I'm doing so good. Good to be back behind the mic.
Yeah, man. It's been a few months for us to record. We obviously have had episodes rolling out regularly. We hope everyone out there is enjoying those. We've had great response so far on this season. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening and leaving comments. It really means a ton to us.
Yeah, I want to do a shout out too to our international fans. Like, we definitely have a huge US base, which is awesome, but it's blown my mind. We have listeners on every continent except for Antarctica, which is nuts.
Yeah.
And like some of the most remote places, towns I've never even heard of before.
Awesome.
It's amazing. So thank you guys, wherever you are listening. So glad you guys are with us.
Yes, thank you so much. Weather happens everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's weather nerds in every single place. It's so easy for me, at least, to be an American and be focused, on the region I'm in and in the country I'm in and in the specific weather that I have in my area. But thank you so much to our international listeners. We really appreciate it. It just excites us and blows our mind.
Absolutely.
That we have that reach. So
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we are, at least on this side of the globe, in the Northern Hemisphere, are in hurricane season. It's fall right now, and the Atlantic is starting to heat up for sure. And really interesting kind of current story in the eastern southern Atlantic. There's a couple of hurricanes swirling right now, Imelda and Humberto, and it's a really cool meteorological relationship happening between the two storms right now. Gabe, could you explain to our listeners what's occurring between those two storms?
I like that you're going to make me pronounce this.
Put it on you.
It's the Fujiwara effect. Fujiwara. It's fascinating. It made for a super complex forecast for meteorologists. I don't envy any of the National Hurricane Center meteorologists who had to try to figure this one out, because it initially looked like it was going to hit the Carolinas, Imelda, and the influence from Humberto actually caused them to basically kind of dance around each other. Mm-hmm. And so it was... it's called the Fujiwara effect because it's named after Tsukihei Fujiwara, a Japanese meteorologist who in 1921 theorized that two vortices, in this instance hurricanes, spinning through fluid, in this instance the atmosphere, could come close enough to begin kind of orbiting around each other. Think of kind of like a dance, like dancing around each other, around a central point. And if they get close enough, they actually merge. So that's kind of the story that's playing out here. It looked like they were going to merge at first. It doesn't look like that's going to happen so much, but they definitely influence each other's track so much that Imelda basically took a hard right turn out to sea just before
90-degree turn.
Yeah.
Crazy.
When it had originally looked like it was going to make landfall. And if Humberto wasn't there, it definitely would have made landfall in the Carolinas. So saving grace there.
Seriously.
They danced around each other for a little bit and now they're going out to sea. Unfortunately, Bermuda looks like it's going to take the brunt of Imelda. Hopefully it's not too bad of a storm there for them. But the Carolinas were saved by the Fujiwara effect.
Yeah, definitely. Those communities in that region of the country definitely spared. My thoughts go out to Bermuda and the islands out there. I hope everyone can stay safe and be weather aware out there. But yeah, the Fujiwara effect, when that term started getting thrown around in forecasts over the last week, I immediately thought of Twisters.
Yep.
And that it's screamed out.
That may be the only pop culture reference to this effect.
Yes, it was awesome. It was awesome. The screenwriters did their homework for sure. And the scene, I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've seen it, that this twin tornadoes start dancing around each other, and they go, "We've got twins!" And then back in the Winnebago, Dexter, I think is the character, says, "There's a name for that. There's a name for that. Fujiwara effect." It's so funny. Yeah. So
threw that one in there for the weather nerds for sure.
Totally. And it's playing out in real time. And yeah, the Fujiwara effect occurs on massive, hurricane scale, and then also kind of smaller tornado scale too. So pretty awesome, really, really cool science. And that's crazy. It was discovered, or theorized like over 100 years ago. So some amazing science done at such a different time in terms of our understanding of the weather and meteorology and the tools and resources that scientists now have. So super cool there. Well, let's bring in our guest. We're super excited to have him on the podcast today. Edgar O'Neal is a professional storm chaser and content creator who brings the power of severe weather to life through live streams and social media. Before he started chasing, he spent over a decade in the music industry and later worked at the University of Oklahoma, where he helped develop curriculum for social workers serving youth in foster care. Today, Edgar blends his background in creativity, advocacy, and adrenaline to educate, inspire, and capture the awe of storms. And Gabe and I think he's also one of the best dressed chasers out there. Welcome to the show, Edgar. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey guys, awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, honored to have you on here.
Yeah, super excited about it.
Awesome.
Super. It was fun listening to you guys talk about the hurricanes. That's really been the only weather news for us over here in the States for a while. So
yeah, it has been a very slow fall, hurricane season and second tornado season wise. Just not much going on. So
yeah, very slow. But sometimes it's good to have a break, right?
Yeah.
No kidding.
I'm sure the people are excited to have a break, just the citizens to not have to deal with any hurricanes so far this year.
We've had some insane hurricane seasons in recent history, so I don't think anyone is complaining.
Yeah, we were due for a slow year. We needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just had a crazy tornado chasing season, and I think chasers everywhere, meteorologists everywhere are getting a well-earned break for sure.
Yeah, it feels like I think the past few years have just felt pretty insane tornado-wise. Mm-hmm. It's been crazy out there. I mean, I feel like I just don't even get to see home in the spring and the summer anymore. Or this year, like I said, the summer, I think, goodness, has been way, way more chill. But the spring was not chill this year at all.
No, it was nuts.
Yeah, tell us about your 2025 season. Like, what were some highlights? Where are you as a chaser these days? Like, give us a breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, I think the highlight, if we were talking about specific tornadoes, highlight of the year was the Gary, South Dakota tornado, just because it was super photogenic. It was on the ground for 30 minutes, only traveled like, I think 3 or 4 miles. Wow. So it's one of those ones where you can just drive circles around and get all the content you want. But yeah, that was definitely the highlight. But yeah, my year was kind of a roller coaster. We started off in February and was chasing with Team Dominator all the way up until May. And that's always crazy. If you're chasing with Team Dominator, it's an experience, right? And then I decided to go back on my own towards the end of May. And then so I did the end of the spring and the first part of the summer tornado season back solo again. So that was fun. It's been over 2.5 years since I got to go out and just chase by myself again. And man, chasing by yourself, there's some beauty to that too. It's really fun.
Absolutely. We definitely get that for sure. We like to chase in 1s and 2s and 3s maximum usually.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes in Team Dominator, we would have, a full Dom 3 would be full. So that's 5 people. Then we'd have a follow vehicle with like 2 search and rescue. And then depending on if we're doing some production, we might have a whole production crew following behind us as well with extra cameramen and medics. And it's a lot. It's a lot when you do that.
On top of that, you add all the fans who rush you guys every time you stop. I've seen you guys on the side of the road, and just like anytime you have to stop to get gas, there's just a crowd of people around. And I mean, more power to you.
Yeah, that's crazy. All those people just gathering around, and it just the fandom of storm chasing is just growing at an exponential rate right now. Like, it's pretty insane. Like there were people that when we'd be in the Dominator, they'd be watching our live streams, figure out where we're going to be. They have signs on the side of the road, like literally, like it's not just like one or two. I mean, like all Chase long, people with signs on the side of the road have their families in the back of their pickup trucks waving at us as we drive by. And I was like, this is insane. Like just the amount of people that are, I love it because so many people are getting into weather through that. But when you're in the middle of a chase and there's just like hundreds of people like surrounding you everywhere you go, that can make it a little bit more difficult to chase for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
It comes with its challenges.
I can't imagine. That is like so crazy to me. We were talking before we started recording that Gabe and I love to keep like a low profile, when we're chasing, and that's just our style. Every chaser has a different style and what they're going for. But I had no idea that there was that much, fan interaction like mid chase.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, they stop us in the middle of chase. I mean, we've had so many sweet encounters. Like people will stop to pray for us in the middle. But sometimes I'm like, well, right now there's like baseball size hail falling. So can we do it in our vehicles? And they're like, and it's really sweet though. I mean, there's such a big community and the support around storm chasers by the public is insane right now as well. And I don't think that's just Team Dominator specific. I just think it's highlighted way more when you're on a team that's that visible. But I mean, just everywhere. I mean, people are really excited about storm chasing. Young kids. I mean, it's insane the amount of young children that are just like fascinated with it. And, now there's all these storm chasing video games that's, I think, really adding to it. It's crazy. Like I'm talking about 10 under, 12 and under. Like these kids are smart too, man. They talk to me. I'm like, I'm not a meteorologist and they're smarter than me when it comes to like forecasting and stuff already. I'm like, wow, we're in trouble for when they get 18. None of us are going to have jobs, guys. These kids are doing it better than us for sure.
Yeah, we are definitely in a golden age of storm chasing. It's amazing to watch.
It's true. Yeah. And you mentioned a few of those elements, Edgar, of like, that are maybe causing like an influx of fans, but like, what do you think just like, is in the air, pardon the pun, of what's drawing people to storm chasing and meteorology and fascination with weather, do you think?
I mean, I think the easy answer is social media in general. There's so many people that are out there chasing, and it kind of acts as a snowball, right? So at first there was just like a few people doing social media with storm chasing. Then people saw that, it caused them to storm chase, and that just keeps happening. That's why every year I feel like we see like double the amount of the year before people out there storm chasing. I think that's one of the big things. And then, Twisters, you talked about that and the Fujiwara effect that was in the movie. But I think having movies like that as well, bringing back into the pop culture, storm chasing back into the pop culture is having a huge effect. And then, like I said, the storm chasing video games are insane. Like, because Roblox is where it's a very large platform and they have multiple storm chasing games on there. They have Twisted and Helicity, and those games are incredibly popular with younger children. And what's crazy is it really teaches you how to chase. Like, you pull up hotographs. I mean, it's insane. Wow. Like, these kids are learning and playing those games. And then you have games like Outbreak that are, I mean, it's like a storm chasing simulator. It's basically like it's in development still, but you can play. But what's cool about it is it's like Microsoft Flight Simulator, but for storm chasing. So I think all that's just adding, it's just causing it to get more and more popular. And I don't think we've seen the full extent of it yet. It's going to keep growing for quite a while, I believe.
No kidding. I saw a TikTok recently of something that someone had built in Minecraft where they were simulating like thunderstorms, and they had a real-time radar built to measure the thunderstorm that was simulated in Minecraft. And it was perfect. It was like a Nexrad radar.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was incredible.
Yeah. Like, in Outbreak, they have it now. They keep adding things. So you have like velocity and reflectivity radar, of course, but then also now they have like surface observations a day of. You can look at your 250s, your 500s, your 850s, the Cape. I mean, and they're using real like weather data model to put into the game. So it acts like real weather. It's insane.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's really fun. Like I use it to kind of keep my, to keep my chasing skills sharp in the off season a little bit. It's fun.
Yeah.
And you can get on there and play with, I mean, it's interactive. You play with people, like you all can get in the vehicle together and one person can navigate and one person can look at radar. It's pretty crazy.
So sweet.
That's so fun. What an awesome opportunity too, to kind of get your feet wet and try it out without the actual like life threatening aspect of it.
I would have loved that, to be honest with you, when I first started chasing. And I hope that helps like some of the younger people, because I'm sure you've seen it too. Like I think a lot of young people that get into storm chasing now, they feel pressure to immediately be streaming or to immediately be out there doing video. And those of us that do video and chase or stream and all those things, you understand that it takes a lot of your attention. Yeah. And if you aren't very comfortable with being in front of a storm and understanding just visually what you're looking at in real time, I think, if you're streaming right from the beginning, it makes it a little bit harder for you to learn those skills because if you're also concentrating on your stream and video and you're not using your eyes as much. And that's what, I think a lot of younger people need. And I think the video games hopefully will help with that as well a little bit so that they can at least get some experience before they go out there.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
wow, that's so cool. It's awesome.
Yeah. Luckily, there was some cool YouTube content, like, Convective Chronicles and Tornado Titans, like when I was, trying to learn stuff. But now it's like, man, you can actually get in a vehicle. They have like the Dominator 3, the TIVs in these games, like actual like interceptors. And then you can just get like a beater. You can get your, you can get your Subaru. Yeah, it's got rental cars. Oh yeah.
That's so funny. That'd be great if there was a rental car element, and if you could return the car at the end of the chase. Oh my gosh! Double XP.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I feel like they would have to have like Reed somehow involved in that because of the amount of rental cars that he is
just a wanted
completely
poster,
obliterated. In
I know we
career.
talk about it all the time. His image is in the office of every rental car company in the country, I'm sure.
I got to be with him, when we were renting them back in 2024, and you could just see it in some people's face when we returned the vehicles. You're like, what? It was pretty insane, to be honest.
Just pure confidence. I love it.
There is just something fun to being in a rental car. I don't know what it is, but I don't do it because, I'd like to protect. I don't want to be sued. And then I can't imagine like one day going off with my wife and us trying to go on vacation and go to rent a car. And they're like, no, we can't rent to you. I don't want to be in that situation.
Seriously. That's so funny. Yeah. Well, Edgar, something we love to ask people on the podcast, people, weather fanatics, meteorologists, chasers, is what was your weather origin story? Did you have like a discrete event in your life that like flipped a switch in your brain that turned on this like avid interest of wanting to learn about and get near severe weather? Do you have one of those events in your life?
Oh, absolutely. Like a very specific one. So it was in 2013, the El Reno tornado was actually coming towards my house where I live. I lived in like the west part of Yukon, which literally butts right up to El Reno. I had just moved from Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. And I'd been in Oklahoma, I think, for 5 months, 6 months.
And just to refresh our listeners' memory, most listeners are probably familiar with the El Reno tornado of 2013. For those who are not, this is the world's largest tornado on record. Yeah. So it's
2.6 miles wide, right?
It's not just your average tornado. This was a monster.
Well, and I remember because like I got home from work early that day. I turned on the TV and the first thing I saw was the news being like, if you don't have a storm shelter to go underground, get in your car and drive south. And so just to preface, I didn't know how to read radar. I didn't know anything about weather, guys. I was in the music industry before that. Like it wasn't even on. I didn't even know there was such thing as Storm Chaser at this point. I'm not even lying. Like I thought Twister was just a movie. I didn't even know like there were actually people that did that. And so I had to get my family, my dogs were in our car. Like, it's like, it starts raining. I don't even know what I'm looking at, but it gets dark, the wind's blowing. My kids are crying, the dogs are going crazy. And we were trying to find a storm shelter, but there was none that would take animals. Wow. So we actually drove all the way down to the National Weather Service in Norman and got in their storm shelter because they were one of the only ones that accepted dogs. But how crazy the scene was, I get there. Bunch of people are pulling into I'm talking about people are just pulling into the grass on campus, like jumping out of their cars, leaving their car doors open, running to get inside. And so that was traumatic, as a person, and then as a father and as a husband, like you're trying to protect your family. And so after that, I made a decision. Well, if I'm going to live in Oklahoma, I should at least learn a little bit about radar or something. Mm-hmm. I asked my wife if she knew it because she'd lived in Oklahoma longer. I said, hey, do you know anyone that storm chases? She said, yeah, a guy that works with me does. And it was a guy named Sean Ramsey, who's a great storm photographer, a veteran who's been chasing a long time. He agreed to take me out and showed me for a year or two, kind of showed me the ropes. But I remember the first time I went out, I saw my first tornado on a chase in Liberal, Kansas. At that moment, I was already thinking in my head, how do I make this a career? Like it switched that fast from being completely terrified and scared to like, holy crap, how am I going to learn how to do this for a living? And it took a little while to do it for a living. Like it took me 6 or 7 years chasing as a hobbyist before I could go full time. But yeah, it was a very, very like that moment is like imprinted in my brain. But, like I always say, and it's, as a motivational thing, anytime you're scared of something, like really the best thing you can do is learn more about it. Like your fear of the unknown is usually what scares most people about things. And so my dad always taught me that. And, I was like, I got to learn about it. And man, I definitely took the opposite route till, fast forward to 2023 or 2024, I joined a team where we literally drive inside of them on purpose. 10 years later, I went from being afraid to like, being so excited to actually get inside one.
That's awesome.
What an insane origin story. That's crazy.
That is really, we talked to a lot of people about El Reno, and it was obviously such an impactful storm for so many reasons. And but you were living in the path. Like that's incredible. We've never talked to anybody like that before. That is wild.
We've since moved, but now I live in the path of where the Piedmont tornado, Piedmont F5 hit is where I live now. I live now. And I was like, I should make better decisions at where I'm moving.
That is crazy.
But now obviously the fear's not quite as bad. The only time I ever get scared chasing is when I'm out chasing and I'm looking, I'm looking and seeing something coming towards my house. When I'm out chasing, that's a real, like storm chasers that live in, areas that experience tornadoes. That's most people have experienced, being out chasing and then all of a sudden a tornado warning happening where your family is. And you're like, crap, like that's still, I always say people, do you get scared chasing? No, not really. But I do get scared whenever I see something coming towards my home or my family when I'm out chasing.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. And how does your family talk about like tornado preparedness and like having a plan? How do you guys all communicate about that?
Well, it's so funny that none of my family could care less that I storm chase. They're supportive, but they're not into it at all. But we have plans now. They know what to do if I'm not there. And they know what to do if I am there, but they know the safe space to get to. They know, and there's been several times where we've been out chasing and they're in our safe space, messaging me like, hey, is it all clear? I mean, it is nice now that they have someone that can literally just pop up radar and say, all right, I know you can still hear the siren, but it's past the house now. Yeah. And so they're pretty, weather prepared now, I'd say for sure. Way more than in the past. But if I know there's going to be storms close to home, I always have like another radar up, always just looking at my home, like waiting to call and give my family any advance warning that I can.
Yeah. Well, you alluded to the fact, and I know our listeners perked up when they heard that you were intentionally driving into tornadoes. Sure. We got to hear that story and take us back to the beginning, the team that you were part of and what that whole journey was like, and then some of the craziest moments you had with them.
Sure. In 2020, I quit my job being a social worker for the University of Oklahoma and went full-time storm chasing thanks to TikTok alone. That's how I literally... I blew up on TikTok. I got to do it. So I chased in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023 by myself. And then at the end of the 2023 season, I reached out to Reed Timmer and Team Dominator and said, hey, I noticed that you guys could use some help on your short form social media. Can I help you with that? So I set up a meeting with Reed. We talked about it, and I wasn't even supposed to chase with him. I was just supposed to I was going to do a short form. Me and Reed hit it off. He asked me to come on a chase. And we saw that was the Alta Vista tornado, which I actually have tattooed on my hand right there. The radar image of that one on there, because it's pretty impactful. We were in a rental. We were in a Jeep Cherokee, and the tornado came down on top of us. Like literally it landed. Like I saw a bale of hay, like just zoom past our car, like a big bale of hay, not a little square one, the big round ones. Reed was outside of the vehicle. He couldn't get in because the wind was keeping the door shut. I had to lay on my back, donkey kick the door open to get him in the vehicle, get him back in the vehicle. And then strangely enough, that gave me the most joy I'd had in a long time, that experience. And then basically Reed was like, hey man, you want to be a part of Team Dominator? You want to continue chasing? So yeah, and then we chased all of 2024. Half the time in rentals, half the time in the Dominator 3. We had some crazy intercepts, a lot of intercepts that year. I think we intercepted 7. Wow. When I say intercept, like inside, we saw literally 81 that year, which for me, I'd never even come close to that number of tornadoes, but we were chasing like every single day in 2024. I mean, we were just out starting in February. We were just out all the time. And and we got to go inside tornadoes. We had like these big these big YouTubers, the Nelk Boys, with us one time. And that was a weird, crazy experience. They're like yelling, crying in the back seat as we're driving into.
Was that Waverly, Nebraska?
That was the outbreak in the Lincoln. It was April 27th, right? Yep. Is that the date? Maybe. Yep. I'm so bad with dates. I'm not good at that. But
it was a crazy tornado.
Yeah, I mean, and there were we intercepted 2 that day, and we saw I think 13, and it was just a crazy day. And then people have seen the YouTube footage. Me and Reed, the Robert Lee tornado. We were in a rental truck, just me and Reed, and we accidentally got inside that one. And we were inside of it. It basically did a figure 8. It did like a really weird deviant motion, and so it hit us once. We thought it was gone, and then it hit us again, and like a truck in front of us was flipped over. Wow. In the middle of literally and still inside the rear inflow jet. We're trying to get these people out of, they had gotten out of their vehicle and crawled into the ditch and the sagebrush, and then their truck flipped over in front of them. Wow. Which is just an crazy story. It was a couple and their dog. Get them in our vehicle and drive away. And that was just a few of the crazy, I could just tell stories all day long about the crazy intercepts we had that year. And then I came back in 2025, and we had some intercepts this year as well. And then, I could tell getting towards the spring, I think all the, I don't know how to say it, just like you said, all the attention that comes with being on Team Dominator, the grind of Team Dominator. I mean, Reed chases a lot. I mean, he says never stop chasing, and the dude lives by it. There's no fake about that. And we were just gone, and my body, I could just start feeling the effects of my body, and just my mental health. I wasn't recovering. So I decided hey, I think I'm going to give it a shot to go back out by myself again. And so I think it was the 3rd week of May. Actually, I don't know if you saw the intercept where they got hit by the subvortice. That real crazy. I left the Dominator 3 hours before that. Wow. My back was hurting so bad. I was like, hey guys, just drop me off here at this gas station. I'm going to take an Uber to the airport and go home. Literally my back was just in crazy pain. And I would have been in that seat too. So I was ooh, what would have happened? That would have been insane. But yeah, that day I left, and then I started chasing myself again, and it was a big risk because you guys know there's not a lot of paying jobs in storm chasing. Yeah, there's just really not. I mean, we all hustle and do broker our footage, make content, but just as a for sure, hey, we're gonna pay you every day you chase. There's not a lot of those, so it was a big risk. I was like, oh man, all right. I thought about it for a few weeks, and I was just I gotta go out and do this on my own again and take the shot. But it's paid off so far. I'm definitely I know people think it's crazy, but I'm just in general happier. And it's not because of anything to do with Team Dominator. It was just for my own physical health, my own mental health. It made me I feel so much better and enjoyed it. And I'm still friends with all those guys. I love Reed and Will Clay and Local Man Weather. Really fun team, good guys. Just great. They're really good people as well. I can definitely speak to that. Not just good storm chasers. I like being around good, solid people that care about other people, and all of them do that as well. So yeah. And now I'm I'm doing it again by myself, the first chase out by myself, I absolutely loved. Like I forgot what it was like to just be you and Mother Nature out there.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness, like that just like I'm getting like chill bumps just thinking about not even the tornado, just being out the morning of, the early afternoon of,
it's the best.
Parking out by yourself, like seeing the cumulus field start to form, like just that whole process, And
I have goosebumps now. I'm like,
exactly right.
Yeah,
I know, right? Like, and that's so much better, like at times, like we didn't get that a lot of the times in Team Dominator because, like I said, we stopped hundreds of people. Like we had to have strategies to get out of gas stations when we got gas. So it becomes insane. So it was nice to get back and just connect with nature again solo. And I'm super excited to see what next spring brings now. I have a bunch of fun, different types of content doing. I mean, you guys know I say competition. I don't really look at it as competition, but there's a lot of people putting content out there now.
Yeah.
So I am trying to lean into my creativity and do things a lot different. Just try to be a little bit different than everyone else and see how that goes.
Hey, dear listener, storm chasing and podcasting both cost money. And now that Gabe and I are back making podcasts regularly, we have a new way that you can support our show. If you look in the show notes, you'll see a link to be able to subscribe to our podcast. This will cost you $5 a month, and you will be rewarded with early access to our podcasts. You'll get each episode 2 days early as a $5 a month subscriber, and we will read your name on the podcast. This support means the world to us. We take our time out of our regular lives to make these episodes, and so just a little extra support would really, really mean the world to us. Thank you so much for listening and considering subscribing. Yeah, absolutely. You have such a great presence. For our listeners who don't know, on TikTok, your handle is Edgar the Storm Chaser, and just a great follow if you're not following him already. But I'm super interested because you're telling your story and you mentioned, you have training and education as a social worker. So, right, like there's obviously super in-depth years long learning and you were obviously teaching, creating a curriculum as well, just about mental health and things like that. But to me, I'm like, oh, wow, here's a guy right here who this often isn't like the case with storm chasers, where I like hear such like clear self-awareness of like, oh, I started feeling like crap, like I started to feel bad, like stress was weighing on me and my physical body and my emotional body. To notice that, I needed a change. Like, I feel like in the community, the storm chasing community, people go like way longer without noticing that, and reach, levels of burnout and bad habits and things like that. Do you credit sort of that knowledge base that you had in your previous life to be able to spot those things in yourself?
For sure. I mean, it really helps. I mean, that combined with also like, I'm a big proponent of like therapy. Like it's okay. It's not embarrassing. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be in like a crisis situation to have a therapist. If you can afford that and your insurance pays, that helps a ton. But yeah, I do think the experience really did help me a little bit to be, self-aware. And as you get older, I mean, that's really just important in life. Being honest with yourself, because, not talking about it or keeping yourself in a situation that's giving you that type of squeeze on your mental health long-term does crazy damage to your body physically as well. It's not just all of that can really get to you. And it's funny you mentioned it because I really am starting to, as I branch off now back to myself, I'm really leaning into that a lot more. And I really want to help other people, especially other storm chasers that are getting into it or that have been doing it for a long time, how to handle those situations. And this year at the National Storm Chaser Summit, I'm actually doing a keynote, and it's going to be on the topic of mental health. And as a storm chaser, as a content creator, what are some things that we can be doing to protect ourselves better, to help others, to support other people? And just in general, to be more positive in the community, because there can be a lot of drama and negativity in the community. And, I've even fell victim to that myself at times. But, recently I've just been really trying to make sure to separate myself and then also just just encourage other people. We don't have to be like that. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help us when we do it. It doesn't help the other people that are looking at what we're doing. If we're posting negative things online, we really want to lean into that positivity and it's kind of just love and compassion, to be honest with you. Because I love that part. I mean, we all have, there's that brotherhood in storm chasing too.
Yeah.
That I think sometimes the drama like covers it up, but it's there. Like, like I remember even at the South Dakota tornado, like I had left Team Dominator just like a month ago before that, but I saw them out there and like I stopped. The first thing I did was like hug them because I was like, because we just saw this amazing thing in nature. And there's that brotherhood. And I think I want to put more of a highlight on that instead of just like highlighting all the negative and our negative thoughts. But yeah, I really hope to help inspire people in that way to like, hey, if you need a break, take a break. If you need a change, do a change. It's okay.
Absolutely.
It's, we're definitely, the thing I preach is, it's really easy to get caught up in what other people are doing, to get FOMO, all that kind of stuff. But there's only the only one thing that we can control is what we do and how we treat other people in the storm chasing community. And so really trying to focus on that and trying to live by example, and like I said, I'm not saying I'm perfect and I haven't failed at times at doing that, but definitely like a goal of mine to really get to that place.
Yeah, that's so great. Looking forward to that keynote. I'm going to try to make it up there because that's a huge topic. It's something that's close to our hearts. Mm-hmm. I took a couple of years off from storm chasing actually. Yep. And speaking of that brotherhood, like it extends into not chasing as well, where the storm chasing community was extremely supportive when I stepped
That's
back.
Awesome.
Which I think one of my biggest fears in stepping back was people were going to judge me and say, oh, we couldn't handle it. And it was the complete opposite. People were super encouraging. Then, when I came back, and I had people texting me to check in on me too. So that you don't see that on social media as much. There's definitely the drama that gets stirred up, but there's such a great community, and it is a family. Every family has dysfunction. So does the storm chasing community. Yeah. But it's such a great community to be a part of, and super, super supportive. In that realm, especially. We make a lot of that up in our head, like you said, like, oh, the community is going to think this or that. And then we kind of lash out because of that, because we have these preconceived notions of how people are going to feel. Right. And it usually isn't always right. Like you have to be self-aware enough to be like, it is okay. Like it's so okay to take a break. And actually we should be encouraging taking a break. Yeah. Like it should never be a negative thing. But I the same thing when I left Team Dominator, I had a lot of those fears in my head. People were like, oh, he couldn't take being with Team Dominator. Like he couldn't take driving inside of tornadoes. Well, that absolutely had nothing to do with the reason why I left. Just like you said, it's, sometimes you just got to protect yourself and do what's right for you. Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah, something we say a lot is there will always be another storm. There will always be another storm. Storms are always going to happen, so
sure.
no matter the length of break that you need to take, like there's going to be more storms.
The fear, I always laugh, like the fear of like missing the tornado of the year, the quote unquote. And what's funny is if you like look at like, on social media, like every new tornado is the tornado of the year. So like, there's no rule. Like you said, there's no fear of missing it. There'll be another tornado of the year next week or next month or next year. So you're not going to miss out. The tornadoes aren't going anywhere, guys. Yeah. At all.
Absolutely
so true.
not. Absolutely not. Another thing you mentioned in your story, is mentorship. And you mentioned Sean Ramsey and getting to ride along with him for, a couple seasons. How important is mentorship to you, and how do you extend that to other chasers?
Yeah, I think mentorship is really important. Like I said, it was nice to have someone to show me the ropes. And so that's one of the things I kind of, since going back solo again as well, like I want to try to help mentor. There's so many young people into storm chasing right now. And one, I want them to have mentors that are that can help them chase safely, that can give them, good advice. But then also, like I said, be there just as a support system for them as well. Because I think we're going to see a even bigger influx of storm chasing here in the next 5 years because of all these young people from all the stuff we talked about earlier. And so we need chasers that feel welcome, like are, welcoming to younger chasers. It's really easy to get, like, as you get older to, I'm not like a crazy vet, but I've been chasing for over 12 years now. And like, you get into that place where it's really easy to be like, oh, these young kids, like clogging up the roads or, all that. And like, that's the negativity that I've talked about that I really want to get out of my head and be like, you know what? Let's find a way to welcome these young people, to help mentor them, so they feel comfortable enough to come ask us a question. Should I chase on this high risk day with storms moving 70 miles an hour? And then you can give them honest answers and they'll listen to you.
Yeah.
Versus like going the day after on Twitter or X or whatever and just being like, you guys shouldn't have been out there chasing. You were too inexperienced. Like, that doesn't help anyone. And one thing I always say is like, and try to live by is like, do you want to be right or do you want to have change? Because those two things I don't think they always align with each other.
Right.
And so sometimes we want to get out there and say what's right. But it's really not change. If you want change, we have to like critically think about the way and the things that we can do, because like I said, it's the only thing that we control to help make that change. And just getting on there and complaining isn't going to do that, like, at all. Like,
Absolutely.
none of those kids are going to come ask you a question if you're totally just like pounding them online,
Oh my gosh, no, absolutely not. Something I've been thinking a lot too, speaking of like mental health generally and storm chasing, is like the importance of having like open channels of communication for folks who experience traumatic things, and storm chasing, we see traumatic things, we experience traumatic things, and how important it is to be able to communicate with people in the community about those experiences. Like someone coming to you and being like, I saw this, I'm feeling this, what do I do? It is so pivotal to processing traumatic experiences, and the trauma only exponentially grows when we don't have open channels to be able to communicate as well. So we really need that in the community for sure. Just to even like say the word trauma and PTSD and be able to talk about those things as well.
Yes, like secondary trauma is like a real thing. You don't have to experience the trauma yourself to experience the effects of trauma. You can just be around people that are experiencing trauma. And that happens a lot. And you can kind of see that line up with big events like Rolling Fork and even Greenfield. And then, further back more and El Reno. You can really see the effects on people that, especially if you've seen it for the first time, the second time. Actually, honestly, it can be traumatic if you've seen it like for 10 years straight and you see it again. So we have to be able, as storm chasers, to talk about that. I think, talking about the public's important, but also more importantly, let's talk about it with each other and in a way that no one feels like you're not being like, macho enough or, whatever masculinity that, some people think that you have to upkeep to be a storm chaser. I mean, we can just be really open with each other and say, hey, listen, like, my mental health was crap for like a month after this, and then just saying that to someone, it's crazy how much that can help.
Absolutely.
I mean, just being able to have another person to listen to, or like, and say like another person be like, yeah, like I experienced this and, I was feeling the same way. Having community and like you said, that those open line of communication builds that community. So I'm not the only one going through this. And then that way, if you're feeling it next time, you know who you can text, you can reach out to and say, hey, listen, we just saw some horrific stuff. And that's tough. Like I'm trying to figure out a way to work that into my keynote as well this year, talk about that part of the secondary trauma. Because it's real, and I see it, and and the young chasers, I will say I give them a lot of credit. They're so much more open to talking about it than maybe some of the people like our age or Gen X or millennials. But the Gen Zers, I like that they're very open. Yeah. They're not afraid to talk about those things, and I think that we can even learn from them. It's not always about us as the experienced storm chasers, trying to mentor younger people. Those younger kids and young chasers have mentored me. Like I've learned from them as well.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful for younger generations, just their willingness to learn and have like a vocabulary and like notice the importance of emotional health and mental health. It's awesome. You mentioned one of the storms that I wanted to talk to you about. You mentioned Greenfield, Iowa. And would you just tell us about that experience? Because I know there's some, obviously, in my opinion, some of the most unbelievable footage, of any tornado ever captured, interacting with wind turbines and, vortices and just the motion on it. But can you just tell us about that day and what it was like to be on that tornado and on that storm?
Yeah, I mean, the funny part is that was one of the days we had like a full production crew with us. I think we had like 3 cars behind us. There were so many people with us that day. Like it was like me, Reed, and local man, and a cameraman in one vehicle, and then like Mike Scantlin, Connor McCrory, and another cameraman and a producer and another car. We were late getting to the target area, and so we missed that first tornado. But missing that first tornado, we ended up in the direct path of the Greenfield tornado. And I remember first seeing it, and you could just tell there was something different. I mean, we've all seen those storms where you can tell like, oh, this is different. Like this is not your just run of the mill tornado. This thing's strong. And, we were driving next to it, and I remember holding the camera, I'm videoing these wind turbines just getting demolished, and just thinking like it didn't feel real at all. I mean, I'd seen a lot of tornadoes at this point in my life, but looking at that, I just remember it just felt like completely surreal. You're looking at it, and there were vortices, and then there were vortices around the vortices, and then there were vortices around those vortices. I had never seen anything like it, and I think it ended up having some of the highest wind speeds ever recorded on Earth, 313 miles an hour, which is just insane to think about. And then, unfortunately, we ended up, and then you go into the town of Greenfield afterwards, and you're like, there's always an emotional roller coaster I think you're on as a storm chaser, especially when there's, tornadoes that hit towns or cities, because you're just like, your adrenaline is going insane because you just saw something that is a once in a lifetime thing, but then you get jerked back down to reality instantly. You pull into a town. Luckily, that town was very prepared, and they didn't have very many casualties. Because when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is another Moore situation." I mean, houses were slabbed, and luckily, there wasn't that. They didn't have a crazy high fatality rate, and the first responders were there very quickly. But yeah, that tornado, man, like insane. I still I don't even have to look at the video. I can still remember in my head exactly what that looked like. But those things were hitting those windmills. And then Reed's next to me. And then also in my back of my head, are we going to try to drive into this one? I sure hope we're not going to try to drive into this one. And we all knew that wasn't a good idea because you could just see that thing was so strong. Yeah. It was a powerhouse, man.
Even Reed Timmer has limits. Like he knows.
Oh, for sure.
Knows when to put on the brake.
And we were in a rental that day too. The Dominator 3 had broke down on the way to that chase. And then we had to swing by and get a rental real fast. But yeah, that was an insane tornado, Yeah. See, and those are the things that are also times I just am so I reminisce on being a storm chaser. Like I got to see something that, no one really, very few people will ever get to see. Yeah. Who can say that you got to see some of the highest wind speeds ever recorded on Earth? Like that's a crazy thing to think about, Yeah. And then too, I think there's a lot of science that came out of that tornado as well. Because there was the mobile Dow, one of the mobile Dows was reading that. I know because we gave them our footage so that they could help sync it up.
Yeah.
I think we're going to learn a lot from that tornado, and we have learned a lot, and we'll keep learning a lot from that tornado. I still am so interested in I was going back through my footage just a couple weeks ago and slowing it down and seeing the subvortices and then the subvortices going around down and then these really tiny little subvortices going around those. And I'm just like, Matt, what are those things like? We probably couldn't record the wind speed inside of one of those, but can you imagine what that had to be like? Or the had to be a very I feel like a very very tight pressure, I feel like they look like whips. Mm-hmm. That's what reminded me of. I almost wonder if those things act like solid objects in time, imagine, that's hitting cars, that's hitting houses. Those little tiny whips have to be so strong. It was an incredible tornado.
Yeah, it's incredible. Visually one of the more stunning tornadoes to have ever been filmed. And we'll definitely link the video footage in the show notes because it's just absolutely wild. And we actually, speaking of Dow, one of our previous guests, Jen Walton, was setting a pod down in town just outside of. Yeah. So it's really cool to hear the different, two very different stories happening around the same event and different perspectives. There's so much that is happening around these storms. And of course you have the perspective of the town and the people that got hit. I believe EF4, high-end EF4 rating on this one.
Yep.
Which to remind our listeners, it can only receive that rating because it inflicts damage of that intensity on a structure. So yeah, just a wild storm, wild stories all around this thing.
It's crazy. Just folding those structures, those turbine structures like plastic straws. Like that's
what it looked like to me too. That's
yeah.
They shred.
It's just like bloop. Like
Yep.
our minds like truly can't like conceptualize like what's happening. It's unreal. It's unreal. It's literally like real life movie footage. You know, disaster movie footage.
Like I've talked to Jen about that. That those experiences, and shout out to Girls Who Chase. Jen's awesome. Oh, I'm a big supporter of them. So, but yeah, like that. Yeah, we'll never, like I always say, I don't know if I'll ever see anything like that again. Like not with my own eyes. And that footage is crazy. Yeah. Definitely the best footage I've ever taken in my whole life. Like not even close. Like there was a few times that year that I thought the Westmoreland tornado was another one, just because it was that weird. Like we were underneath, like literally the pipe was above our heads, and then it came down in front of us. You could just see it swirling over your head. Like, then it, like I'd never been that close to a Sidewinder style tornado, being underneath that. And then I was like, no, nothing's going to top that. And then Greenfield happened, and I was like, oh wow, just kidding, just kidding.
So, I mean, you mentioned getting to see something that most people don't. For our listeners, explain as best as you can what it is like to stand in front of something like that.
Oh man, because I think maybe my brain's a little bit broken to do what I do. Like the first thing I think of is excitement. Not excited that anyone's getting hit or anything's getting destroyed, just the excitement of getting to see Mother Nature and it's like raw power. It's so hard to like say one feeling though, because I'm like, you're flooded with emotions in those moments, right? You're feeling a lot of different things at once. Excitement, like anxiety. There's just so many things going on in your head at the same time. But like, it's incredible, just to be honest. It's one of the reasons I love being a storm chaser. I love getting to see things that other people don't get to see, and just experiencing, like I said, nature and science is just fascinating to me. And it's really fun to get out there and just see, like, we have all these, there's so many smart people, we have AI taking over the world, but still we don't know. There's a lot we don't know and don't understand, and things that we get to see. And then also maybe even being able to contribute to science. Like I'm not like a scientist in the sense of, like doing research, but I do think there's such thing as observational science, and recording these types of videos and stuff. They do help as well. So like also thinking that, hey, I get to be a part of some sort of science that no one else gets to be a part of is also just really fun to think about. And it feels good. Like it makes you feel good that you get to do stuff like that.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. We love that. And I'm curious, you mentioned AI, and you have such an incredible presence on social media, and we've talked a lot about, the new generation coming up, but I'm just curious, like from your vantage point, what you're seeing like in the field right now in terms of storm chasing and where it's at, and just kind of the hyper connectivity of storm chasing with streaming and things like that. What do you have any predictions about like the future of storm chasing and like citizen meteorology moving forward?
Yeah, I think we're like kind of living the future right now. We're seeing it, especially like citizen meteorology is like massive, right? Some of the biggest creators online aren't meteorologists, but they're doing a very good job at informing the public and doing things. I think we're going to continue to see more of that. And like I said, I think we're going to continue to see. I think storm chasing is getting to the point where there's so many people. I do fear that we're going to see more people try to regulate storm chasing, like they started to try to do in Oklahoma last year. So I do predict that that's going to be an issue in the future, unfortunately. I also think that AI is going to be heavily taking over forecasting eventually. I hate to say it because it's going to take away jobs from people that studied and did their whole life. But we're just at the point where AI can process data way faster than we can. And you see that with a lot of the, we got NATO cast coming out. That's really, really cool. And then you got Google now. I don't know if you saw any of the predictions for the recent hurricane. It was like one of the only models that got it right.
Yep.
I'm like, whoa, like, and I played around the other day when they were having that set up. There was that set up that 10% hatch tornado risk over in Oklahoma and Arkansas. I just took screenshots of models and put it in ChatGPT and asked it to give me a target area. it nailed it. I mean,
Really?
nailed it. And it was just screenshots. I like put 10 screenshots of like, I did like 850s, 500s, Cape, sheer, and said, where would you target the best chance at seeing a tornado? And it put a bullseye on it. Wow. And I was like, we're in trouble, guys.
Oh, man.
We're in so much trouble.
That's wild.
Dang.
Well, there's a little nugget for our listeners.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I actually thought about like
insane.
making an account just to throughout the year to do that and post it to see how accurate it is over time. I mean,
That would be
obviously
fascinating.
Yeah. I see that, that's a direction that is going in. That's not just storm chasing specific, it's happening with any type of jobs that is crunching numbers or doing math or data. I mean, we're going to see a lot of that. And then the other thing is we're just going to see a ton of storm chasers, like so many. I think we're going to see a lot of, we see families out doing it all the time now, like as a bonding experience. Like, I think all that's just going to grow. We're going to probably see way more movies. Probably some of them are going to be not so good. Some of them will probably be okay, but and I know you guys, if you have footage and stuff, just the amount of like, companies that are trying to do storm chasing shows right now. And everyone's trying to get in. The iPhone video had storm chasing in it, their promo video this year.
Yeah.
That's how you've really hit pop culture in your career. Seriously. When I saw that, I was like, oh dude, we're huge. Like, this is insane. Like, we made it in the iPhone, like they were, I think it was AI footage though. I'm not 100% sure. I looked, I was like, is that real or not? I couldn't tell. And that's another thing. Like, AI footage is probably going to end up being a problem in the future. Yeah. If you're a storm chaser right now, you can usually distinguish what's AI from not, but a lot of like just casual viewers can't. And it's eventually going to get to it where we can't distinguish it. And so we have to think about that.
And I think it's negatively affecting storm chasers as well, because viewers are automatically assuming that it's AI when you post the real thing.
And I got that with the Gary tornado over and over.
Yeah. And so people just aren't going to believe, like, you can get the craziest footage, and if people just assume it's AI, like, they're just thrown to the side.
I had to they reported and I had to refute it on Instagram.
Wow.
As it was fake footage, like my actual real footage. And I was like, what? This is crazy. Wow. And they put it back up, but that just shows you how many people see that now. And like you said, they're just like, if it looks too unbelievable to be real, they're just going to assume. That could be a problem for sure for us.
Yeah. Crazy times.
It is crazy.
It's crazy. It's a crazy times, but also amazing time to be a storm chaser.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm excited to see what happens in the next 5 years, honestly. Like, and like, I think, as content creators, like, you're going to have to find ways to shake it up, especially if you're trying to make a living off this, which is, I kind of took that route way more than selling footage. I tried to, I'm doing the content creator route, but there's a lot of competition in that. And I did like a branding talk last year at this Storm Chaser Summit. And I said, if you guys are all smart, you're going to change it to you don't want people to see your tornado footage. You want people to see the tornado footage with you. And if you can't start making people do that, you're going to get left behind, to be honestly. And I know that's a sad thing to think about, but there's so much good tornado footage out there now that's real, not even AI. We're not even talking about adding the AI. Like if you're going to want to be relevant on social media, you're going to want your followers to want to do it with you specifically. And that's why I think, having a personal brand is super important if that's the route you're going.
Absolutely. That's really, that's very insightful, is that everything is personality driven. Yeah. Moving forward. And, kind of in a way, like how you also give the effect of like the authenticity of your footage too, right? Like that I'm a human being, like with this storm, check it out. Like this is real. This is really happening. It's kind of like almost like a real watermark in a way of authenticity.
I've seen a lot of like older, like more veteran storm chasers, like complain when they see like someone doing like a video with them and the tornado in it. Like, I'm like, well, I get it. 'Cause like, I'm kind of that way at heart. If you just ask me like what I would prefer to do, honestly, I wouldn't even want to do video. I love doing photography. If I could just get paid to go take photos of tornadoes, that's what I would do all day long. But that route is very, very difficult. So I realized that, hey man, you got to be inside the video. You got to be willing to put your face on there if you want to be relevant anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm interested, just, we've talked about storm chasing, the effect it has on people. Like what is the effect of just like maintaining and keeping momentum of a social media presence? Like how does that shape kind of the image of yourself and who you are in the world?
A lot. And I'll say one of the things like to protect your mental health is you have to be careful that the content's not shaping you as much as you're shaping your content, because it's really easy to get into that as well. But that's a very long conversation. But it's super important to try to stay relevant. And these algorithms on social media are changing at an exponential rate. Like it used to be like I could know one style would work for like 6 months. Now it's like 2 weeks, and it's like, all right, this is what's popular now. So it's really, you have to be authentic to yourself and find a way to, work yourself into those types of algorithm changes. It's way harder than it sounds, and also to keep your own authenticity. Because, like I said, if you just become you have to do exactly what the algorithm says. If you're that, like, it's going to become not fun real fast. Like real fast. Yeah. So you have to be creative to figure out how to work yourself into that, your personal brand, like who's authentically you into those algorithms. But man, they're changing like crazy. I mean, even like the little, think about like even not in the storm chasing world, but in just the broader weather world of like forecast videos, like where they were like 5 years ago. I mean, it was like it was very plain, monotone, with radar images. And then when you have people, like with the evolution of like Ryan Hall, Max Velocity, and all these really big weather creators, you've seen that all of a sudden it's all fast paced, quick cuts, flashy letters, like bright colors,
big headline. Yeah.
Yeah. Big headlines. And, and you have to be careful with all that because, I mean, you were talking about, the first thing that came to my head when you were talking about the most recent hurricanes like 5 to 6 days out, I mean, like half of social media was like, it's going to be, Armageddon from these tornadoes. Yeah. And like, I mean, hurricanes and and I'm sitting back going like, as someone, is experienced in doing hurricanes and thinking like, well, we got a long time to wait and see here, guys. Like
exactly.
It had not even formed into a tropical depression yet. I mean, it was right. And like people were like, because there's good things and bad things about the general public having access to weather models. Because they look at weather models, I think, and a lot of people I've heard, like on TikTok, a big problem is I hear people saying it's like future radar. I'm like, that's not what it is. Like these are all still guesses. Yeah. I mean, they're educated guesses. There's stuff that goes into that. And so you have to wait and see. And I think that also is going to be a prediction in the future is going to cause problems because there is a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to forecasting storms. And I'm not like picking out, and I don't think it's like Ryan Hall or Max Velocity, who I mentioned earlier. I don't think it's those guys, but there's like, I've seen people like 4 days ago, they were posting everything about dirt bikes and now they're the expert on where a hurricane's going to hit. And so I just encourage people to like, hey, like make sure you verify the people you're listening to. Cause people have especially around hurricanes, people have real fear. I mean, like things that will shut their life down if they think a hurricane's coming, especially after what was like Helene last year after that up in the Carolinas. I mean, those people had every right to be scared because they're like, holy crap, this like changed like our whole lives. And I seen people out there comparing it to Helene already before, and it was a little, what was it still 97L or whatever, and like people were already saying that. And I'm like, you guys can't do that to people. I mean, and also there's we could get to the boy who cries wolf type thing eventually too. Right. And that happens with storm chasing because tornadoes, you always hear it out. Oh, they never hit where I live. They go up back in the air and come back down on the other side of town. I hear that story probably every single storm chase. And you have to be careful, like I said, to not throw so much and miss it till the next time a hurricane comes and people are like, we're not going to listen to them. Right. And then that is the one that hits. So there's a lot of ownership that we have to take.
On that note too, like same or different side of the same coin. If you're a social media content creator and you're wanting followers, you better give people the most accurate forecast because they're gonna call your BS if you keep posting these hyped up headlines and then nothing happens. You're gonna crash and burn real quick. Like people will see through that in a hurry. So it might seem like you're getting followers really quickly, but you're gonna lose them really quickly too when your forecasts don't verify.
you don't ever want to use fear as a way to get followers.
Right.
Because it will eventually backfire on you. Like you said, you might see a bunch of people right up front, but eventually they're gonna go. And people, I mean, fear is a very big motivator. I mean, literally, fear is what got me into storm chasing. We talked about that. Yep. That's a huge motivation, being scared of something, but you can't abuse that as a content creator.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think
the algorithm feeds on it. The algorithm feeds on these negative emotional patterns, right? Like they do. Disgust, fear, anger, like everything.
Yeah. Not just weather, like everything, like you said, like anything. That seems to be like the big algorithms lock onto that. And that honestly, like as someone that is a, very pro social media, that is one of the huge negative effects of social media that I think we have to figure it out in some way. I don't have the answers for it, but we do have to figure that out.
Absolutely.
Because if those algorithms are constantly locking in on our fear and anger, like that's going to drive our culture and how our society is viewing everything. Yeah. And we got to be super careful about that.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I love something that we mentioned. I think there are some really great, weather and media literacy tips that are pretty simple. Something that we mentioned, in hurricane forecasting that we could just even say is like, give it time, give the forecast time, and let it breathe. Let the models come into sync, let the experts weigh in. And that has helped me, at least in looking at, long range forecasts, where I know if it's 10 days out, if it's 7 days out, and I even share that with my friends and family, when they're asking about forecasts. And Gabe, it's an interesting podcast topic to think about of what are some of those simple rules of thumb that kind of lower the distress and can kind of give people quick access to good information, because I think that stuff is definitely out there and messageable across social media as well.
I mean, I even felt like we saw social media this time around influencing more legacy media like the Weather Channel and stuff. Cause I know, I had people in South Carolina, they heard that, Jim Cantor is coming to their town, in this 5 days before it hit. And that gave them stress. Mm-hmm. And I think that those companies are also feeling the pressure that, hey, we have these social, if we don't talk about this soon, all the social media creators are going to, take our business away. So like I said, we got to find a way to do better in that area for sure. Like I said, I don't know the answers. It's hard, but something. I would love that podcast, but I would listen to that podcast over and over if you guys did one about that.
Totally. It's a really interesting idea.
Yeah. Bring in a panel. We need some experts to weigh in.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. Media literacy. Social media literacy, man, that's a huge topic.
For sure.
Edgar, you also have some really interesting nonprofit work that you do alongside of, all of your storm chasing and social media. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I am the assistant director for a nonprofit called Dirty Feet Missions. It's a family nonprofit. My mom started it back in 2013. And then in 2020, when I quit being a social worker, there was still there's always that side of me that I want to be helping people. I want to, I want to be able to spread love and compassion. And so I talked with my mom about it, and, she's getting up there in age, and, just hey, she approached me and said, would you like to take this over one day? And I was like, absolutely. The timing was perfect. I just left social work. So yeah, we do a lot of work in Guatemala and Haiti. Those are the two countries we do a lot of work in. We actually have one of the first women only drug and alcohol rehabilitation center for indigenous women in Guatemala. Wow. And we also have programs there where we're now giving business grants to indigenous women. And then we've actually hired social workers in Guatemala to work with those people to help them get sustainability for their family, which I think is super important. And then over in Haiti, we help run a big school and a massive orphanage as well. There's a lot of children without parents in Haiti because of all the political distress, the earthquakes that have happened there. And so we do a lot of work there. And then also my mom has been she's opened it up now, like we helped during Helene, the after effects of that. So it's been nice. I've been also to include some weather things in there as well. Cause people need help everywhere, but yeah, I absolutely love doing that. And I don't think I could ever not have that somewhere as a part of my life, something like that. So that nonprofit has been really, really important to me.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's
incredible work.
awesome.
And 2 countries that are deeply affected by hurricanes and severe weather. And
Yeah.
wow, that's incredible. And is there any way for our listeners to learn more or get involved with Dirty Feet?
Yeah. Absolutely. You can just go to dirtyfeetmissions.org. That's our website there. And we do some trips for people, but I mean, like I said, most of our work is like social work done with inside the country, but we're always looking for support. I mean, we always need help and over there, and especially like doing these grants. And, there's so much talk about, like immigration and illegal immigration into the United States. And so one of the things I encourage the people is like, okay, if you have problems with like, what can we do to help that?
Yeah.
Like, what are other things that we can do? And like, that's, kind of inspired where our grant program came from. Like a lot of those people are, that are coming to the United States, they just want to work. To send money back to their family. So if we can put things in place to help them, teach them some skills, help them learn how to create businesses and for their family, I mean, that's one way that you can help that instead of just complaining. I mean, like I'm a big proponent of you don't need to complain about things that you ain't tried to fix. I mean, I think that's just kind of a motto that I think I had good parents and that's what they raised me to be like.
No kidding. It sounds like you had great parents. That's incredible that your mom started that organization, and what an incredible family legacy. That's
for sure.
Awesome. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Edgar. We've talked a lot about social media, so please point our listeners to all of your wonderful social media. Where can they find you online? Sure.
The easiest place is just to go to edgarthestormchaser.com. I just have all my social media list there. It's like my landing page. So, but on all social media, if you just search for Edgar the Storm Chaser, I should pop up.
Awesome. And we'll put that in the show notes as well for easy access for our listeners. Thank you again so much, Edgar, for your time. And to all of our listeners, go out and follow Edgar. He has incredible content and is a really, really worthy follow. So thanks again, Edgar. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Super fun. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. And thank you so much for listening to StormReel. Please, if you could, rate, review, and subscribe. And if the place you're listening has like a little bell or notification tool, hit that. And so you know exactly when the next episode of StormReel releases. We want to say thank you to Orograph for the use of our theme song, Metamorism. You can find that song and album streaming everywhere. You can find us everywhere at the StormReel and stormreel.com. Please share those links. And for StormReel, I've been Jeremy Heyman, joined by Gabe Cox. We'll talk soon.
This episode was made in part with the support from our newest subscriber, Karen. Thank you so much for being a part of the StormReel family, and remember to keep looking up.